Most frustrating things about poverty programs is that they often feel like a trap. They help you get by, but they don't always give you a way out. Many programs like SNAP and SSI have strict asset limits. Save up too much money and you could lose your benefits. We have seen stories like this over and over again lately in the news. And that's because somewhere between 40,000 and 70,000 people lose their benefits due to asset limits every year. It's heartbreaking and sometimes it's preventable. There are workarounds that can help you protect your benefits, but most people don't learn about them until it's too late. And if you don't know and you make a mistake, you can lose your benefits and even have to repay the money that you've received. It's awful. Now, part of the problem, of course, is that those asset limits haven't been raised in a very long time. It's currently set at $2,000, but according to NPR, if it had kept up over 51 years with inflation, it would be $10,000 today. So today we're going to talk about a few workarounds that can help you break free from that cycle. Whether you want to buy a life insurance policy or a home of your own, there are tools that you can use to save money and insure yourself without breaking those asset limits. So let's start with saving money. There is a little known secret weapon that can help you save for the future without affecting your benefits. It's called an ABLE account. These special savings accounts are designed to empower people with disabilities to save money without jeopardizing their government benefits. The money that you put into an ABLE account does not count against you for programs like SNAP or SSI. It's protected. According to Business Insider, you can save up to $100,000 in an ABLE account without it affecting your SSI benefits, which is wild because usually the SSI asset limit is just $2,000. So what exactly is an ABLE account? ABLE stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. These accounts are tax advantaged, meaning you can save money and receive contributions from friends, family, or other people without putting your eligibility for programs like SSA or Medicaid at risk. You can also withdraw the money for any qualified disability expense. This includes things like education, health, transportation, and housing. You can use it to pay your rent, put a down payment on a house, or even buy or repair a car. Basically, anything that helps you live a more independent and fulfilling life can be covered by your ABLE account. Now that's the good news. The bad news is that ABLE accounts can be tricky to set up. There are a lot of rules and there are over 45 different ABLE account providers. So you have to make sure that you're eligible and that you choose the one that's best for you. Now let's talk about who can open an ABLE account. There are two main rules that you need to know. First, your disability must have started before a certain age. Now, a lot of people think that it's 26. A lot of people think that you have to open your account by age 26, but that's not entirely accurate. Your disability must have started before your 26th birthday, but you can be any age when you open the account. So even if you're 56 now, you can still qualify as long as your disability had an onset date before your 26th birthday. So what if your disability didn't start until after you were 26? Don't worry, there is good news, because in 2026, it's a lot of 26s, in 2026, the age limit will increase to 46, thanks to the Able Age Adjustment Act that passed back in 2022. This means that millions more people will become eligible for ABLE accounts on that date. So if you've been waiting for this opportunity, mark your calendars for 2026 and don't forget to apply. Now, second, you have to meet the program's definition of disability. This is easiest if you're already getting SSI or SSDI, but if you aren't getting those benefits yet, you may still be eligible. There are, however, a lot more hoops you're going to have to jump through to prove that you meet the program's definition of disability. You'll have to contact an ABLE account provider to discuss your options because it's just complicated and it's outside the scope of this video. So now that you know the benefits of ABLE accounts and who's eligible for them, you're probably wondering how to get started. The good news is it's easier than you might think. Each state has its own ABLE program with specific rules and investment options. You can easily find your state's program by visiting the ABLE National Resource Center website at ablenrc.org. They have a helpful webinar that you can watch to learn more about these accounts, and they'll help you figure out which one is best for you. You'll need some basic information to apply, such as Proof of identity. This is like a driver's license or a passport. Proof of disability, like a Social Security award letter or a doctor's letter. And you'll also need your Social Security number. Many states allow you to apply for an ABLE account online, which is the quickest and easiest way. However, you may be required to go in and complete a paper application in some cases. Just depends on where you are and who you're opening an account with. Now, once your application is approved, you can start contributing to your account. You can also have friends, family, and others contribute to your account as well. Any money that goes into that account will be protected from counting against the asset limits for programs like SNAP, SSI, and Medicaid. But it's not just straight up savings that can mess you up either. So if you're set on ABLE accounts, don't click away just yet, because sometimes just buying certain things like a life insurance policy can also cost you big time. Karen Williams learned that the hard way. She had watched family members scramble to find the money to pay for funerals before, and she didn't want her kids to go through that. So she bought a life insurance policy to cover her funeral expenses. Sounds reasonable and responsible and like a good thing to do, right? You would think that, but no. When the Social Security Administration discovered that 2 years later, they cut off her benefits immediately and demanded that she repay $20,385 in just 30 days. It was an impossible task. They said that the cash value of the policy was $1,900, and since she had around $200 or so in savings, she had been put just over the asset limit, and as a result, they stopped her checks and demanded that she pay back everything she had received immediately. It was so stressful that she was hospitalized twice for heart attacks. This heartbreaking story highlights how even the most responsible choices can backfire when you're navigating these complex poverty programs. Karen's situation is not unique. Tens of thousands of others have been blindsided by these rules. And that's because there are very few things that don't get counted against you as an asset. You're not allowed to have a home. You are allowed to have a home and one car. You can put money into trusts or get waivers, but that usually requires help from a lawyer. And most people who need help from these programs can't afford a lawyer. There's also an exception for burial insurance, but a lot of funeral insurance is sold as life insurance instead, which still counts against you in the asset test. If you're going to get insurance coverage for your burial, please make sure it's a burial insurance policy and not a life insurance policy. Unfortunately, Karen didn't know that in time, and she ended up on a roller coaster ride that lasted for years. She was able to get by in the short term with help of family and friends, and eventually her lawyers at Community Legal Services were able to score some wins. They got the Social Security Administration to admit that they hadn't properly notified Karen of her right to appeal, so they agreed to waive that repayment and not make her pay it. But then later, they ignored their own decision and decided to go after the money again. Karen's attorneys had to appeal again, and now the order to pay is on hold, and she's getting benefits from a different program now, but she's still under that constant stress about what's going to happen with that $20,385 bill that they keep trying to collect. As NPR reported, Karen's case, quote, shows that SSI's asset limits and rules are so complex that not even Social Security staff can always get things right, end quote. And that's ridiculous. So just to recap, here are things that you can do to protect yourself against those asset limits. Open an ABLE account if you're eligible. If you aren't eligible now, go mark your calendars for January 1st, 2026 when those age limits increase. Hopefully you'll be eligible then. Second, make sure any funeral assistance policies you buy are burial insurance, not life insurance. And if you find out that you're going to receive an inheritance or another large sum of money, meet with a lawyer to discuss setting up a trust first. Ultimately, always keep that $2,000 asset limit in mind. I know it's frustrating and it's unfair, and you shouldn't have to worry about that. But being proactive now could save you from having your benefits stopped or even facing an enormous repayment penalty later. It sucks, but I hope that this video has been helpful to you. Don't forget to check out our recent EBT update for more ways that you can get assistance.